The cost of car insurance here on the Sun Coast is no joke. Florida rates are reportedly the third highest in the country, and nationally, car insurance premiums are up 26% from last year. In today's Injuries Are Personal with Reynolds Law, attorney Carl Reynolds is here to tell us where we can cut a few costs and where we need to pay up to keep our family protected. Good to see you.
Great to see you, Stephanie.
Favorite topic, I got 4 teenagers, and I know you're dealing with it too.
I am.
mean, there is no way that everybody isn't looking at their coverage and going, I've got to save some money somewhere.
Correct.
I know this is really important to you in what you do because you see people who don't have enough insurance get crushed financially.
Almost every day.
Oh, it's heartbreaking, and
it really
scares me into paying these huge bills because we have to. So I thought it would be helpful to everybody if we took just a second and we kind of talked about the coverage you have to have versus the coverage you can look at your situation and decide about.
Gotcha. So it depends what you mean, what we have to have, as far as what does that mean. There's what we must have, and then there's what the Florida legislature says you must have.
Let's start with the legislature.
Okay. So in order to register a vehicle, believe it or not, all you have to carry is personal injury protection, which is if you're in a car crash, no matter who's at fault, it'll pay up to $10,000 of your medical bills. It's basically, the way to look at it is medical insurance carried on your automobile, okay? It also follows the person, so it's personal injury protection. So if I'm a passenger in someone else's vehicle, that coverage follows me and that vehicle, and it pays up to $10,000 in medical expenses. And everything else, well, the only other thing you got to carry now is property damage of $10,000. That covers any damage you cause to someone else's property up to $10,000. Those are the 2 things you need in order to register a vehicle in Florida, and that's really it.
Okay, but obviously when we get into things like liability and all of that, we have to worry a lot more. I know when I was, these are the kind of things, as my daughter says, they don't teach you this in school.
Correct.
And it's very confusing, especially for the young adults, to figure out how much coverage they need. When we're talking about those big liability numbers, and they come at you so quick, oh, you want a 100, 300, or you know that. How much do we know, and what does it mean?
Okay, so liability for property damage is what you're required to carry, $10,000, and then you can purchase bodily injury liability. Now, if you choose not to purchase the bodily injury liability, just go with the minimum, you do have to basically sign an affidavit saying you're good for up to 10 grand personally, okay, and that you'll pay it. And if you don't have the money to pay it and you cause an injury, they can suspend your license until you pay it. So that's a thing that insurance agents don't usually tell you, okay? So you need to buy bodily injury coverage, okay?
So you don't get sued.
So you don't get sued. So you have some protection. And if you have assets to protect, obviously the more assets you have, the more coverage you ought to buy. You can buy as little as, most insurance companies sell it as little as $10,000 per person, $20,000 per accident, and then it usually goes up to $25, $50, $50, $100, $100, $300, $250, $500, and so on, okay? Bodily injury coverage allows you then to purchase uninsured motorist coverage. The law does not allow you to protect yourself more than you carrying coverage to carry your liabilities to protect others. So what does that mean? Well, uninsured motorist coverage is vital. We've talked about it ad nauseum here on the show. People are probably tired of hearing me say it, but it's so critical because so many people come into my office and they're got big bills, big injuries, and they're hit by someone who has no bodily injury coverage, and they didn't carry uninsured motorist coverage, and all I can say is we can sue the individual, but as my granddad said, you can't get blood from a turnip. If they don't have assets, we can get a big IOU. The court says they owe you money, but we can't get anything.
I have a question about how there can be so many people, and you estimate up to 50% of drivers on our roads are uninsured.
Correct.
Don't you have to carry some insurance to register these cars? Now I'm confused.
Right. Well, it's 25%, according to the state statistics, have no insurance. Okay, so you have
to. That's just illegal.
So yes, you have to have insurance to register a vehicle, but
not to drive a car.
Well, if you don't pay the insurance premium the next month, the state isn't checking that. They don't have the resources to check that. So you get it.
They sign up, they register, and they drop it.
And then they just don't pay the bill, okay? The other 25% to get us to 50% are those that don't carry bodily injury. So when I say that they have no insurance or they're underinsured, that's where that 50% comes from. So it's basically Russian roulette on the roads. If you get hit by someone, there's a 50% chance they have no coverage to compensate you for your injuries. And if you carry no uninsured motorist coverage, all you've got is 10 grand to cover your bills. And by the way, it doesn't pay at 100%. It pays at 80%. And you can carry deductible on it. So all those will be your expense for an accident that you didn't cause, and there may not be an avenue for recourse because that individual has no assets to pursue. So bodily injury coverage allows you to get uninsured motorist coverage. You can buy property damage in different increments as well. You probably don't need a $100,000 property damage policy and only a $10,000 bodily injury policy.
Right.
Lower your PD, property damage limits. And buy more bodily injury, so it allows you to buy more uninsured motorist coverage.
As we wrap up, quick thoughts on running with a higher deductible, because it would only be a one-time cost if a wreck should occur, whereas if I run a lower deductible, I'm paying for it every month.
Right.
What do you recommend there?
I recommend you run the numbers with the agent, okay? Find out what's it cost for a low deductible, what's it cost for a higher deductible, and then think about your risk tolerance. Hey, you know what? If I'm going to wreck it, I'm going to really wreck it probably, in my luck. So I'll go with a higher deductible because I don't need this low deductible and to pay for a $500 expense or a $1,000 expense.
And this is where the internet is great. There are really good websites, including on the insurance companies, where you plug in these numbers and figure it out.
People should shop at least once a year.
Okay.
Shop it once a year and check that out.
It's hard. Right now, we're all a little tempted to cut some of these costs, and I know it's something that you see all too often where it's definitely not worth it. All right, for more information about any of your legal questions, you can find Carl and his team by going to injuriesarepersonal.com. We'll be right back.